Kan cheese hat yadi the cut you on. Yachana. Wash dasa away. Gach tusa.éeyi. Kadasa klesha tuwáa ushgú. Adat eich agach tlaat. Ye away gisigóo hat tuwáa sigóo Tlingit chénach aya wuch in. Yuch agach tlaati. Ye away hat tuwáa. We yuch adutli atki away. Aga away atgach tlayeich ha yuch atangi. Ye away hat tuwáa. Chataya tatke. Chat away chosa.éeyi. Eich ka. Chynachwy ach eich Ya ach un ag hastsu. Idch aegi choa. Un wo gallu duasago at. We dasa telltuchai at doe. Gachtus neich. Ye aw ach eich idch a stuch tuch chosa.éeyi. We dachte hin choa goll ach shatch ka ach yedki tellgedein hastu toa ushgú. A jowe. Itch awe has awa chai. A gachach washi dasa tell has ucha. A gall de cut at chwacha. Ya ach keitli ach yeti. Gunnil cheese Johan. Ya ach awe atcha tellgedein ach tuwáa ushgú wan qanins. Kella sai kusti in jog. Menes you do sago at tlél chas inach. Gled eich aya gwall. You owe it to sa. Sheet cook owe a dad aya kautula art. Wasa. Ye owe das owe a tuwáa ti eich kakot. Oh ye gled eich aya. Ye would tuwáa. Ja, de katwe gled eich a tlellach tuwáa ushgú. Tlell dasa a tuwáa ti tlellach tuwáa ushgú. Wan qanins got, wan qanins kuns. An awe ushgú judu ha. Tlellach tuwáa ushgú cha. Ja, oit atsu tleide hin aya. Chat woos. Wasakach tusa pickles cha Tlingit chénach. Chat chewus ek chonach tlellach tuwáa ushgú. Tlellach ushgéweda. Gwall cwstat awe ach tuwáa sigóo chwasa. Ach hastich hell wasa uti. Chat tlellach tuwáa ushgú. Ach awe atcha tlellgedein ach danúg. Dasatsu tlellach tuwáa ushgú at. Ach gwall chacha. Aga awe. Ja, ach duke udeach. A chat sewak aquasa sagat. Allergies choa. Chat aya qone aya. Yende ke chatuwati. Ja, qanach ach ewuk wan qanins we wasus tlatuch ani. Aga qone aya. Chitle aya atchotanai. Gwall we witlit iki hukli ka wasus tlatuchani ushgú aya kaudiyai at. Milkshake duasago at qawe qanach achut wunigun. At jawe tell chacha yidat. Ka wait datsu gwall nask chin katawe ach katago itachawe. We just the cut we tlél. We as dach.éeyi. Tlellate uqachai. Chynachwe ach tlaka. Kek gwanig. Ag. Gweeches. Kakta da kag. Tukta da kag. Ag. Ya dasa adugo duchai. Tlellate uqachai. Ye awe. Ach tuwáa sigóo. Atlein ako ach tuwáa sigóo kachwa ako. Gwall jakut ka hastu ani kuke chatiti. Chan hasak ani gyadu. Haslishko has at chai. I tuwáa gesigóo. Chas nasi, khas nasi owe. Kakwaaq. Ya dene haste ane kakikhatwati. We wanna do dli qanakhwe haste qiyake. Ka tsuyakh yati peppers you do a sago at hechwasaku wasatu sago at hatch peppers ayakwa. Ka katsaknin yakunakwe qiyake. Shipwreck you do a sago haste ani. Ati Gashisaku Achoa Uhan, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Konachoe Kachayake, Achlilk, Konachti to us a wage. We Kwanlin, wait the Akutzati, Juno Kotleg, Shkakwe Kotleg, a Joy Achlilk. Ye owe one Kanins, ye Sakai, Klilk. Kwanlin Deka Kwakuch, das I to us KFC. Tuckaway KFC. Tlatina Hati Owusi Hosaku de Tuasaku. The shipwreck a KFC Kudziti. Kachayana KFC Koa. Keskade nach Tuashku. One Kanins Haha a Katu a good way. Good Nigo. Ye owe has to Atchadaki Hiti Koa. Ya cook a kach away has a couchless ich. A kach away has a couch hit. Wanna do techa. Katsakni. Ha! Kekake yak hajiwa. Ya yik Wi-Fi tsakutzati. You shipwreck aya. Navajo ani. Aka away we klay nach ka. A ye day will good. Tlingit bootleg DVD achjiui to a guessaku. Khate go kach to us a goo. A joy tachunach wanna do glicha ka katsaknin. Genki kats kach glitsu. Just klay dushu we uski. Keujituki Kayani Yachiatia. Ye awa achtuasaku yisaku. Gunchi shach sa achi achtuasaku. Johansu yi sachwa achi. Gunchish.
Tatke anahu ka hagus hwasai Scottish at éeyi awe. Actually, January 25th, Robbie Burns kudziti yagi. Hayat kusani ha'in has awaha ka hastu yat kitsu. Haggis shagun ko wash ka wanadu yik adi hastu tek hastu kahak hastu tlugu hastu nasi wanadu datli yik dus e. Haggis ka anahu ishan kak at éeyi awe. Kahatsu ishan kak dach kuksiti. Yeah, awe. Ach klaniana ka ach ishniana tsu. Ishan kak wutusiti. Tutla ani kak tsu. Ka yada chun kak tsu. Ka kunach jituwani. Atwe, ja, atgai haggis ka anahu ach in akani kadusa hatsiti. Gonna cheese ach Kate yisa achi. Ach tuwasigu yichwan su ha in akanik ja atgai dat.
Gwell cheese. Gwell lleid I hyn o haggis chwacha. Ja, dy gwtsgwch at sy tig, aia a chwni, a Scottish chasati. Gwan ganins du tla connected to us ago, has du llich go has at chai. Ye away ach ish ach tla. Chan has a kawanik. Gwell jakut ko has du hiti aia I gudi. Aka has away. Ich ewa wus I tuwage sigo ha at chai. Tlak away ye yak ha. Yeah away with tusa on. And cheese. Tusa. Tlingit hai ti ach tuwáa sigóo aya hiya. Ye away you do a song with Filipino. Shkalneegí showe chanakawanik. A katchatse ook akuch sa awech awach. Yek ako konachowe hachut yehasyati. Ushgú to the Shah ya uhan Tlingit ka dekina ka ayahiya.
Kadaya. Kiek au se kunach yak shao.
Sheesh. Ega.
Kunach cheesh.
Yak ach tuwáa ach iti le tu a dedus I we shao. Good cheese.
Tlél ach tuwáa ushgú tusa.éeyi a chana ku a gedain at sa.éeyi. Owe. Yachana nayadi ka kuns ka tusa.éeyi gach tuwáa. You dat wait. Pretty soon. Sa.éeyi. Hak got 8 wanayadi ka tusa.éeyi. Owe. Gonna cheese. Hak isa ache.
All right. Hatsu tlél tuwásigu tlél ach tuwáa ushgú we tusa.éeyi. Kushe atcha tuwásigu chacha tlél chachet kakwat yan chwati at tlél inwu tuwásigu. Ziagen inwu we Tupperware. Yan yati. Ziagen freezer yan yati. hooch.
Okay, gynllis yn cynnig. Okay. Ako has di tuas go gwellwi tle dy hun a well dy cydwi syndi chag. Ja a tlein at cha awe has awse I. A ga awe inu a ia has gwa cha dy cydwi syndi chag. Okay. Ako a connacht ik wait chili, spaghetti. A tlein a ia gachdus I. Chad cha gwell spaghetti cyclasa I. A tlein a ach tuas go. tusa.éeyi. Okay, cheese. So, okay. Tusa. Question. Good.
Kindly at I kanata kahini achiatki. It's ish gunus chish kwa kan kanata kahini. Ish kwasiku smoked kan.
Oh, gwell gli hook. Kan gli hook. Jerky echiati.
Well, chat again. Chasiguk hin kdain ade gachtuch uguye. Tlach knacha twasigu wat sich ka disk glin hook awe erchi tien hoot.
Okay. Cheese.
Chadayal keke.
Oh.
Chana at chayi shkalneegí. Ya chana chat ach it ha. Wanach sawe. Ya chana go tlél gach tu cha. Tik kach shakagach tuslawus. Tuslawus keke. Mix tuslawus.
Oh. Mix.
Okay.
Ushgú tuwáa,
ushgú tuwáa. Shalteen shakagach tuslawus. Oh, ushtul shkudaha. Ushgú. Okay, gan tish. We go kandli kunacht klein. Wa kuwat'a. Measurement like the length. Wa kuwat'a keke. Sikuke. We go kandli loaf Saknain yachyati.
Okay.
We go kandli saknain yachyati kunach klein. Wa kuwat tlech kachus. Sikuke.
Oh yeah. Take kachus ye kuwan.
We 12 inches yachyati. Tlél una tle gach tusa.éeyi. Hooch.
Yak gan cheese. Wan qanin zwe qan oy khwtlaqi. Ach tuasa go just the cutway with goose. Yeah, the cutway goose. Aya we goose. we adat atuk adat awe ai we khonachwe achtos gutl de khatat ay tuwáa ya ade aya one qanins ade dus we prime rib shuku au achtuwáa tuwáa qan khusi yake Gan cheese yuan. Ach ide yan ka kwaha.
Visco gli actuasigu tuwáa we croc quedli we kunz ka sin su shlittakat yegi as shlittakat yegi awe shlitz to Klish Urtsi Achawe we croc quedli tuwáa at amshliyechi nuch. Hooch away, goodness cheese.
Oh. Yake. Gwash satin aya ach kakin gudasi. Ya ach ish de tla. Has de lishko has ani dach awe. Sami chusatien. Chatsu sami chatsati. Ya has de ani dach ach awe atcha. Ya ach ish de tuwáa awas ian. Ludafiskei du sago at. Kelcha cha Gedak chatsati aya. Qone aya awsa Wasa litzin awe wasa lichan. Hechosaku dadin sa aya dus Gol la yudu sago at let chach inach. Tach kunnach oy litzin naqa hiti dach aya. Hallu qun ya khatcha ach hun khas. Ya awe tuwáa. Gol ade aya tuwáa. Gol ade kukwa. Ade kukwakin koa. Tadasa aya hask agursa kakwa ak. Ye awe achua. Ka at khai. When qanin slitsini atawe. Ye awe akach aya kach shahid. Aya hiya. Ya Hawaii khatwutin. Hastu hundake hiti. Ye konachoi chakut yete we atcha. Achua aya. We ushgú tsikat ka jadasa. Gwan qanins Japan adachawe ka chakut ani dach. Yat atsu has ucha. We shiskichat. Wasadu sak poke yudu sak at ya hasu yukatangitin. Ya ach ewuk Ya haku atlatu yuk. De tuwáa gut at de katastu at chai awe kautua aku. Ya awe aya hiya at cha. Daka hiti kudzati. Ha ina kawani kedan cheka at cha. Helchas adobo ka jadasa. Ya konachawe dasa has ucha. Has uchai joe has de ani kak. Ya shkalneegí gwallu du sago at tlél chach inach blood meat. Blood meat deweach tuwáa kakki aku. Chate. Jadasa tuwáa kakwa aku ye kwati.
Thank you.
Tlél eich kwa tlél. We a shei chuch wudus Chitzin kachwa ak. Adata we chatch ewa wuz itch. Itwagesiku tsuk ichai chatch tlaik. Helwa sa utikwa tlachach to ashkud tsuk ayakakwachai. tusa. Really.
Asai hat ka kunst ik hat kuchtin li kanachke in a ach wanganins stuck at hooch
Yak Hutsu. Katsu Kunach Utchi. Ya kan one kanins chowder Achtuasakutsu. Judechi Akunach which the cutat were hini at the Achtuasakuchai. Kachwaak. Get played the hinsa. Ach ish has to ani. Nu tak ayat let kach inach. Ya has to you katangi tin gosh nuchtak. A katrat se wok akko eka wasa do sago atas you katangi tin. Has to ani kach aya. Ya a klein at ha awechwacha. Kunach yak at ushgú chart. Tlél chíshi this way chart ushgú ushgú tusa.éeyi tin with tuwáa ka ushgú let ka yecha onions you do a sago at it way with the shani we show what just click a yuchatang ausku yupik yuchatangi Chanakawanik ya achtuasaku kunach éeyi agudak aya kakwasayech ichais nechtin ka gukatu wasus atach tachani Hajay cooking we shonux leo.
Did you eat already?
Yes.
Yeah,
One. If there's one.
our outlayech kakunachoy ach ewuke. When chakut hit the yich wasakach tusa. We yao ye awe khan hasakawanik yao awe. Ya kink yacheti koa ye awe kahis. Ya kachwa ak wita ak ewuke ka chakut hit the yich ye awe khat wuchuch we tlek aka haku hahiti yite ayagachi at akoe gachtecha kokl khatake kokl ake kokl yake kakwa ak kash uchai jinweka ye awe kakwa ak hechwasakun khan yachiti atli ye awe kunachoe ach ewuke ka asha awe kunach adata we wutuacha Chanakawanik ya waqtadli awe kunach ach ito agesiku kia aku kakwa ak akawe helwasa uti ach ewuke hako just wait tlaqay ko khatay kakwacha tel yohan was tel yan yune khate tel yan khatwune tel achtwa ashku kakwa ako yitat tlaqay ye owe ganal cheese
Tasawak anyacheti.
We anyacheti we cookly.
Tasawa.
We tlél kach inach swan. Chwacha ach ishas ani kak. Ach ewuk Ya ach shat aya inupiak sati. Ya has de chunkian. Ye ka ribeye in the sky. Ye awa has uasa we cook. Ya tlay de hina chuni du in kachwanik adat awe. Ha cook awe watuacha. Hoka ishan. Yisakuk el de katas de kusti tende to us a good du khana inach sati. Khataya ha. What de khana tukachtucha. Tsukke.
Ach tuwáa tofu kagachat ka ach pawu agach sata gachat ka as we tofu ka curry ka turmeric ka egg and wanganins kagacha kuch kuchawa.
Yek kan cheese. Ya clay de hina we achuni. Shkakwek wuti. Du shatqa Thailand aya yutu sak de ani. Hukko akal Laos adachawe Laosian awe hu. One kanins way Thai atkhata kihiti Thailand atkhata kihiti ak hawuti. Jatlak away just to toas a gauge we kasuku kuch. Kachwabus chakuta try get to us a good clack has hours atedus ye. That's a ach to us ago. Oh, you can. Hwasa. Kaidehina ya has to hunt aya Kuchwatin, Arizona. Klein with Thailand ku akewuti. Hu owe achuni du shat Khanakawani, ya to us ago. Ya hak agach taki hiti dig kukki good ha in. Ha yak Buddhist aya ye hasyati. Ye awe we agach ati. Hechwasaku wasatu saku. Nakne yachyati. Ho owe Outagach. Itcha. Kone aya yuk watan achin. Thailand yuk tangitin. Khatkwasaka. Ha. Ye khwaji itla awe. Ye awe Arizona. Khatyo saka. Ya we atcha market kutsiti. Hastu jiwa. Ya Achlisko has atchai ach tuasagu chasai is. Aids konachoi ach ewuk Kach konachsa alkoa spicy yudo sako at we tahini kachwa ak. Konachoi khoshakuk at jawe konachoi atuye ati. Plain peppers kutsati. Ya jakut at chaitsu we kuch kunach kautlitzichu kuch aya. Ya we kuch de cut at the kade aya yedusni. We sasyach yeti at the kuch. Ka ushgú glí u tuwáa. Chunachói ach éwg hastu atchai. Gwalchwe COVID idachach tuwas a good hastu anikate aiga. Kakach tu teen. Ka hastu atchai owe kakach tu ak. Gwall at kutu tini ya ach yedi. Ach shukwa yedi hak ewus. Gwall chakut ani de ayak yi tini dasa tuwas a guisatini. Ja, ach shat, ach tuwas a good need shayach was a teen. Echini, Eitlini. Ja, Khatqa, Hundakahiti, Achtuasaku, Hosatini. Mexico Kehawatien, Kanachtuasaku, has to Hundakahiti, Hosatini. Dat Yachsa, Ha Ayacheke, oh, Yake. Yes, the cut has to Athai Kahwaak. Yeah, Yake, Gulchish, Johan, Gulchish.
Now ach eat yanuaha.
Ah, Khatsu.
Kona hasausiku tasa tuwáa. College study yesinue vitamins. Tlingit at high. Vitamin A, B, C, D, E, and so on. But vitamin A, I think, is yak e haji is vitamin A e wak konach a diagene ishachawutsu ka ya itlutu ikha vitamin A konach yak e ka konach litin ha at high tuk basa carrots yacheti khan yacheti at high vitamin A our tuk e ati su yach ati atu vitamin A study is a tea Kananik Dasa Tlingit at Chayach on Yacheti carrots Yacheti.
Aha. Gwallwe Khan Yacheti at Kha. Just Kach. Ego Genki Khan Yacheti.
Aha. Dasatsu.
Tlél Doc Tlek Helchus a Cood we saw we Kanad Yach.
Take a tank again.
Dakasatsu. Konachiake. Sockeye.
Ah, God. Yeah, what?
Salmon eggs.
Kahak.
Coho.
Chlug.
King salmon. Strawberries.
Chuck. Duck.
Salmon berries.
was an tlél. Okay.
Shao.
Oh, yeah. Well.
Especially the eggs. So have fun eating that. Dried salmon has a lot of it because it's an oil. Vitamin A is an oil-based vitamin. So you find it, of course, in fat, deer meat. I'm envious of those that's going to have deer meat. Liver. And then because we ate all parts, like the kidneys and the heart, and I don't know if any of you had lungs, but I think I did. And the stomach contains a lot of plants that the deer eats. Soap berries. It's orange. Ribbon seaweed. What's ribbon seaweed? Kasakask. Yana ate. Sea asparagus. What is it? I don't know if anybody collects that anymore, but my granddaughter was good at getting that. Sea asparagus, you can it.
Zucchini?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have very many stew, but there's enough tusa.éeyi, seal oil, probably a lot more than what we can talk about tonight. When you start looking at Tlingit at tuwáa, you can begin to pick out which of our food has a lot of vitamin A's. Tusa.éeyi, our bodies can use it. So that's only one vitamin. And when you look at old pictures of the people, historical pictures, everybody looks healthy. They have healthy looking eyes, healthy looking skin, straight legs, straight body, very elegant and wonderful looking people. All because they ate all the right things. Even though we didn't have bread or pilot bread or fry bread, eating all parts of the animal. Mushrooms, too slippery. When we were kids, we used to play with snails, and so we were going to serve it as a play toy, and you slice it up, and that's what exactly cooked mushrooms look like. So I can't believe it.
Hey.
I was giving a presentation on food, Tlingit foods, and this woman raised her hand. She said, "Ma'am, what do you do with mushrooms?" And mushrooms wasn't on my food list. And I said, "We step on it." We don't eat it, we step on it. So I wanted to just run by some of the foods that you're talking about tonight, very healthy, very good. And you are really blessed to have it. Gonna choose.
Yeah, Helen Watkins, you do sagan away. Kleinach a shkalneegí di shawat. Chanach away aus the coon. A day aya ye daduni awa nak sacht. Ka chanach away a klein kayani. Kaha tlishk ohas at chai. Aus the coo away. A daye daduni. Ya du tuwáa good so. Shkalneegí. A chankaya yeti. We nask a éeyi. Shkalneegí. Nach deya. Deya away kene ingini. Jaguta. Siu shakats ahu. Ye away ye do a sock. We mushroom. Kanachwe de tuwáa atutua adi. We jagutat ka. Ka tusa.éeyi. Ach ewuk Kleidihinoech achwawus. Wasa yisaku dachasa duchai at. Ye awechwa achu awe. Siu shakats achu awe kwashkach ducha. Glayhuj. Poison at yeti. Ye awachana kawanik. Ya achuch. Kwashkach chosaku. Duchai at. Ya achuch awe. Ho awe. Ye yaw sa guk. Cha. Aka awe akawa ak. Kleshkuk wanai awe akachatsukuk wacha. Chataya. Ha. Yake. Isaku dakasa yake.
Cut. Ach itian uaha knata payis. Tusa.éeyi uaha. Ach ik du een knata ach gies. Ach yak knata chatsehan. Ach it yan uaha. Diagen sa at gach tucha. Konach ashikan zik na us. Yewa.
Goodness, cheese. Yake. Wait, let chak inach chotu. We pie a dot. Awe. Ye awe chwat Tsakini at chai. Ye awe at we magpie at dachawe we asai chutzati. We pie. At blueberry pie, apple pie. At tsakini at chai ach tuwáa ye awe gach tusa. Hechasagu cha. Wan qanins tashtakat khu'u. Jishugo has to tundatani. Kliakutan. Dakka yehawati. Tlingit data yejitune. Gitleinach Wasa do saku. Yan kuktla. Ye awahayo saka. Ha! Chosaku wasagachtu sa peanut butter. Kaltsak éeyi. Chataya ha yake yake sa awe. Kaltsak aya has ayasak. Ya ka Tlingit ka kanaltsak éeyi. Ye awe ach kani du in kachwani gada. Hoka tlashach tuwáa ushgú. Kesh kanaltsak in ayadul yech we the peanuts away. Tlél canals ag dacha. Just do éeyi. At away canals ag éeyi. Huka tlél ach tuwáa ushgú. Tlél canals ag éeyi gwacha. Okay. Yak Johan. Zuk ge gwall lle hwt.
Tatge Akshawat Al-Sa'i Turkey Yakhana Yakhana at-éeyi turkey dinner. Pumpkin pie teen. Yagi tuwáa leftovers. Turkey kahini. Tlél ach tuwáa ushgú. Tlél ach tuwáa ushgú. tusa.éeyi turkey kahini. Kwa ach tuwáa ushgú kunach ach éeyi. Turkey chana at-éeyi pumpkin pie teen.
Wow.
Hooch.
Sheesh. Chatsu with shaqait tlél ach éeyi. Tak owe kunach ach tuwáa sigóo. Ya hella sai christi gwalle wine. Wan qanins we kisha akadikach sacha. Wa atlein yichiti wine. Agaw akade aya yichsane atlein we wuditsiniki kayani. Jadakasa we kaska dachawe khwa'u. Brian, you do a sago atawe. Ya tlél anach ach tuwáa sigóo we shaqait a tuwáa itcha gedein aya kukgwahuk we qoina teen qoina aqa away qune aya tusa.éeyi shtuk tlédihin aya we atlein q'u hahiti de awe watu achuch qeuchne qa zeush qa chwayinak aqe haswutin achu Tlingit aya hastu ichallatu ye awe q'awus wasakach tusa stuffing qa ye zeush qa qeuchne Wishaqait tu tusa.éeyi saknein. Aqa awe qune aya atshuk yuqatangi wutuleyech. Chate khatna uwe shaqait qwani. Ye gwall zeo shwe ye aqa. Wishaqait tu saknein. Qeuchne qa tlek shaqait hatli. Ye awe ja adatawe wutu shuk. Qunachwe haqe qawe atcha. Tlél tuwáa ushgú qa aqaya qutitsaqati awe wishaqait. We atcha awe haqe. Ye awe hayetki hastu ichallatu. kelkis ukukwe atcha. When Qanins has to tuwáa yatayach yatiyach atchai yatayach tlaik itli. Just cha. Yeowe ha'i wudutli tu. When Qanins atshukyuch atangicha layich itcha adat yutuchtatan. Ha. Atjiche gechati. Atyawune. Yeowe atchawi kadeen aya kakwa ach kadeen yuchach datani. We atcha adat. Atshukyuch atangi ay achtuwasakwich cha'a achtuwasakul te katat jichati atyawune. Yeowe. Gun al cheesh. Huchaka. Reflections, thoughts, questions? I'll save my surprise for Wednesday. Maybe we'll do the Kohanti story for a bit. I got a little bit left, just 2.5 pages.
I couldn't figure out what Cheat Woo was talking about at the what was it you were saying? It was like there was something, was it Ishan or?
I was saying we're poor people. And from poor people, and turnip is poor people's food. But we're still good people. So.
There was a reason why a lot of our ancestors came to America. They were very poor. Goodness cheese.
Okay. Okay.
Oops. Hey, I have a question for Cheat Woo. I was on mute. I thought I heard you say wanadu.
Yeah. So
what is that?
Sheep.
Sheep. Oh, I knew it was an animal.
Yeah. So
okay.
If haggis is oatmeal and sheep guts, and it's cooked in a sheep stomach, so that's yeah.
Goodness cheese.
We're in, here's the English language sort of issue. We were in San Francisco and I was at this art thing that I got into, and they made us dinner like 5 nights a week, really good dinners. And one night they cooked, they call it lamb, right? And it was really good. And then they didn't cook us breakfast, and so they didn't cook us lunch, which was fine. It was great. It was a great program. But I'd always pack a bunch of food home because Ryan, the kids would take off and I'd just do artwork during the day. And so I just took a whole bunch of this lamb because it was so yummy. And the next day I was cooking it, and somebody came over, some friend of another artist that was staying at the place, and he said, "Boy, it smells good. What is it?" And I was like, "It's lamb. You want some?" And the way he said no, like I got kind of offended, right? Like he just seemed really grossed out or something. And I said, "Well, it's not a baby sheep." And he says, "Well, that's what a lamb is." I said, "No. Rich people don't eat sheep, so they call it lamb." And then we got in this big debate about whether that was true. And I said, "No, like poor people, they call it like sheep or mutton, or they've got haggis. They've got names for it because they're not embarrassed by what they eat." But I said, rich people, they'd rather call it a baby than call it like a sheep, right? Because a lamb is technically a baby sheep. And then I started talking to other artists about it, and then nobody would agree with me. So I went and talked to the chef. I said, "This isn't a baby, right? It's like a big full, it's just a sheep." He's like, "Yeah, it's just a sheep." He's like, "But if you tell rich people they're eating sheep, they'll get mad at you."
For some reason, I was looking at your dictionary and you had the origin of wanadu. and it said it came from the Chinook jargon, which and a mutation of originally a French word, le mouton, something like that.
Yeah, I think
very
Saháan as well maybe comes from, there's a few of them that come from French words. And so, yeah, as they make their way over, you know, and so there was some fun like lost in translation stuff as well. So Nation Story and others, they really wanted to, they kind of had this two goals. Like one is we want to document the language, and they did a great job of it. But two is we want to, you know, we want to missionize the native people. So they were into a lot of like Bible translations and stuff. And there's a lot of references to shepherds and sheep, and they were getting the wrong kind of sheep so like they were, as they were translating, they were using like mountain sheep, and then they're talking about like herding mountain sheep, and they're all this Tlingit people like, what are you talking about? And you're not gonna go do that. And then there was a mistake somewhere between the ushgú and the tuwáa, and those got mixed up, and so there was all kinds of sheep problems up here, but it was kind of fun.
Has anyone ever tasted the stomach of a large halibut?
Oh, tlél.
Someone brought one to my mom because they got a big halibut, and they brought the stomach, and and she was so happy that it wasn't really that big. It was about that big, I think. And the ends were cut off and was really clean. So she put it in a pot with different ingredients and boiled it. And I was kind of waiting for it. And when it was cooked, she took it, put it in a plate and refrigerated it. And I thought I was going to get some, whatever it was. And the next day for lunch, she invited me, and she took the cold stomach and sliced it so that when it was sliced, it looked exactly like onion rings because of the wrinkly outside. And so then she put oil in the pan, and she fried it to reheat it. And it was so good. I never saw it again, anybody eating that, but that was really nice.
Huh.
And it looked so good too.
Shkalneegí.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Moose heart on Valentine's Day. Oh, maybe we could rename it tusa.éeyi.
Oh, and wasa yage away we gukli.
Yeah.
Ah, train.
That was a good burn.
Ah, yake gunushchish.
No wonder people ate them.
Link kua llkatka we chat at nasi hastu tuwáa sigóo.
Oh, okay. Huh. Sheesh. Okay, Johan. Well, let's do a few sentences from our story. We're nearing the end. So here's Saháan. She has 4 brothers. 2 of them are wealthy. 2 of them are poor and unlucky. That's where we left off. So here's our next sentence, if anybody wants to read that, and then we'll work on the translation.
Yeah, daknach shkalneegí a. Yeah, do ik has. You can't has gaadin away. Kedane, Hastuin, Yejane Nuch.
Sheesh.
The two rich ones. Her brothers, his side, God, they went there with their hands all there with their work. They worked hard always.
Okay, sheesh. Yeah, so the two rich ones, her brothers, Duchant Haskaatin Owe, that's they used to kind of like when they used to come visit her. Kadain Hastuin Yejananuch. She would really work carefully. She would really work hard or work carefully with them. So like she would just be really thoughtful about what she did when they came by. Chiefs.
What is the ga?
That's a good question. So this the qa mode, and so as far as why it's popping up there, I'm not exactly sure. Like listening to Kahwanish, that's what he said, and so like it probably has something to do with some kind of conditional, but then the conditional is also going decessive, so maybe that conditional suffix is falling off. So a conditional you would expect like qa, and then the conjugation, and then ni afterwards. And so here instead, so khant is going to call for a zero conjugation. So so in that case you have like khant qa'atni, but then maybe when the decessive can sort of cancel out that other one. And so like as again, we're translating this from English over to Tlingit. So it'd say these sentences, and then they would, one of them would talk, and then they would sort of talk about amongst themselves, and that's what he came up with. So I'm thinking that was like when they used to come by. Who wants to read the next one?
Daki usnach we yak do ik. I think maybe it's she would always bring out, or she would always use the good or the fine dishes.
Yep. So this is the carrying verb for like multiple objects, and it's really hard to distinguish it from like the do fixing it verb. But once you have dock in front of it, then now they're taking it out. So dock is to bring something out. So this would work especially for something that you put into a safe place like at'u or the special dishes or whatever. So she would, and then this is the habitual form, so she always brought out her good dishes. Next line.
I'll give it a go. Awe, do ik has, ja has kudzige. Ja, tlinalki kideen has often nooch. Yeah, it's not making sense to me, but
okay.
Her brothers, is that saying they were smart or they were intelligent or something?
Yep.
Say it again?
Yeah, they were smart.
Yeah, okay. The rich ones, they watched her, they always watched her well or something? Or she watched them, or?
This is one where I might look at it with a couple other folks and maybe make an adjustment just for clarification. So like they were smart, and we might change this to tuwáa has I might make that change, right? And so that's what the English said, and I'm sure like this makes sense, but it might be more straightforward for learners to say, wait, do ik has ya has kutzege has tu shkalneegí gedein has altinnuch, which maybe I'll do now. And that might be a little bit more closer to what the English was saying. And so that's just saying like they always looked after their wealth. So that's kind of how they stayed wealthy, I guess. Let's see. Sheesh. Let's see. Might be the last one. Better hurry up and read it, somebody.
Yak anash gedek du ik has churte du hukch has our ik ash yausaka dak ye nasne yak éeyi is ik. Oh man. Nope. Kach has agach ayit.
Sheesh. It's icky. Yeah, it's that double right in a row is kind of tricky. Okay. What do you see as far as translation? We'll open up to the gang. What are you guys seeing here? Anybody want to take a shot at it?
The poor ones?
The poor ones. Yep. Yeah, let's chunk it through. So the poor ones. Do ik has.
Her brothers.
Utlay de chucht has our iri.
When her husband called them, invited them.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Ashyausaka. So the ush gives us a big hint about like how to translate this line. Who's the ush?
I'm not sure who the ush is, but it's the main character, right? Is it she?
Yeah.
Always?
Yeah, so this is the story of Saháan. So like, and these are tricky things because the ush can fluctuate. It's sort of, the main character is a good place to start, but it's also like this one we're talking about, because you will see it jump to someone else sometimes. And so usually once we've been set up, and so, but it's sort of like when you're looking at a story, if you're making one or you're reading one, the ush is sort of like who the story is about. Sometimes it'll drift to someone else, but it'll usually, like a Raven story is a really good example. If you see Ush in a Raven story, that's probably Raven, unless you can really clearly see that it's someone else, but then it'll revert back to Raven. So in this case, when we see Ashosaka, we could translate that. If we want to put gendered pronouns on there in English, we would say he said to her, or the husband said to Saháan. And we just, so the object here is the one that's being told the thing. Now we get our last sentence.
There's those good dishes again.
Yeah, so now we had usnage, and now we say ye nasne. So
it's like put out the nice china.
Yeah, bring out your nice dishes.
So that we can eat off of them.
So they can eat on them. Right, so this is the brothers, right? So this is what, so these are really fun forms. I was messing around with some today doing like second person ones, which are like do this so that you can do that. And it's pretty fun. That takes a little bit of maneuvering. But when you start using these, one verb, so the other verb can happen. And so what you're going to do is look up a hortative, has'aqacha, let them eat. Has'aqachayit, so they can eat. So for example, you could say, Yanshutan yata qahtachayit, wrap this one up so we can eat. Okay. Yuck A.
Can they be looking at the next sentence and then going back to the one we just did, so that wouldn't that have to be Saháan then? No, wouldn't that have to be your husband who's saying that?
Well, so this is what the husband says to her.
Okay.
So he says to her, take out your nice dishes. And then Saháan yawaka. And so it switches to yawaka. And so the difference here is like, when it's yawsaka, the important thing is like someone says it to someone. And even though she's saying this back to him, the speaker switches it to yawaka to just say, this is what she said. Now the focus is on her words instead of who she said it to, which is really interesting. And then she says, I don't want poor people to eat off the good dishes. I guess there's your trick. We unlock this and we can go eat or go to bed, whatever we're doing.
She's saying something kind of bad about those poor people.
Yeah. And
they're
so
not going to take care of the dishes.
Well, so there's this, at the end, we have kedain, well, we have hesh kedain kukwati. And then the opposite would be kedain kukwati, which is really interesting because kedain means well or careful, usually. Mm-hmm. But when you put it in front of this verb, which really just means to be, yati, kesh uti, yekwati, like those are familiar forms of this verb. But you say kedain kukwati, and that's saying it's gonna improve. That's all you're saying. So you might say, I hope your life gets better, right? And so that it just means to improve. But the opposite of that would be to degrade, would be to get worse. So what she's saying is it's gonna ruin them. it's going to ruin these dishes. That's what she's saying. Okay, I'm sure you know what's going to happen next, but we'll find out.
What is that?
Oh, to use.
To use, eh? Okay.
Yeah, so poor people. So in this case, like, poor people ruin whatever they use.
Uh-oh.
Here comes the bad stuff. That's bad. Going back to the haggis and the other stuff, like the poor people are and the stories tell you all the time in Tlingit, like, just look out for the poor people and treat them nice. So we'll send this to all our favorites, people who don't do that. Let's see.
Ishan Saháan.
So Wednesday, we're going to start with a listening activity. We've been doing talking activities, which are great, and we'll do another one on Monday. But for Wednesday, we're going to do a listening activity. So get your ears all ready, and then we'll finish this, and we might move on to another story. We'll see. Fun stuff. Going to cheese you, Han.
And then you'll have a fun surprise for us too.
Oh, the listening thing is the surprise.
That's the fun surprise.
Okay.
I don't know how fun I am.
Gunith Cheesh is a fun class.
Yuhan.
Okay.